Today I thought I'd play a little bit. Let's make a 12-inch key fob on the 3B. Start out with a 1 3/4 or 1 3/8 inch round bar. I like the end of it to be just a little bit thicker, so I upset it. It's bending a little bit, but it doesn't matter. You'll see in a minute. This wasn't going to be my first project, but this is for you, Daryl. I'm going to put a point on this, and I am going to end up with a little bit of fish mouth for those of you that know what that is. That means there's cupping. I'll have to cut part of it off, and down the line I actually forge weld a little bit. It's going to take me a while to get used to this size machine. It's going well. What happens when you forget to turn the camera back on is that you miss a step. I had already started the tapering to make the stem for the leaf, but I hadn't gotten far, so hard to back up and do it over. The 3B is definitely a nice machine. You have to work with confidence, though. No machine for the meek. I worked on that tip just a little more under the hammer and fish mouth some more, so I'm cutting off most of the fish mouth. I had hoped I'd gotten all of it, but we'll see later I didn't. Refine that a little bit. You can see my anvil isn't fastened down. I'm not even aware that it's doing this. I just move as I go. Kind of make a egg shape off the end of that. And when I get better with the 3B, I won't need to do this touch up when I make these. I can see a large piece of yard art or art made with these leaves down the line. Bring it out, flatten it. The camera jumps here because I have it sitting on the one leg of it sitting actually on the hammer. I didn't realize that wasn't a good idea till. I guess if I thought about it, I would have known. This is a butt cheek tool. It's just for putting a ridge down the center. I turn it over, and I wish I had, but it looks like a set of butt cheeks. I'll pull the sides out a little bit further. The forging is bouncing, but the camera bounces also. This is a veining tool. Actually, the handle on this is much too heavy. This is one of the first tools I made for a large mechanical I had. I still have. And I didn't realize at that time that handle needed to be really small. This is one of the first tools I made. The power hammer work. One side, then the other side. This spreads as it's cutting the veins also, so each side will not necessarily be symmetrical. Actually, as I get better at it, I'll be able to get them more symmetrical if I want them to be, but it's actually kind of nice when they're not. draw the stem down. This will become the loop for the key fob. This is for big keys, you know, like jailhouses and things like that. When you draw out like this, you always draw a square or rectangle. You never round as you go, because if you round as you go, you'll roll that steel and it'll crumble, split. Especially if you're working with wrought iron. This is mild steel. Like I said before, this will become the loop. Just draw this down, draw it out. Probably 3/8, 7/16 thick at the leaf side, maybe 5/8 wide, 3/4 maybe at the leaf, near the leaf. This is a little quicker than it would be by hand. That's fun. All the same steps as doing it by hand, just with a little bit of power. Here I'm drawing out that tip again. It's still split, so I decided to weld it, forge weld it. Forge weld. Actually, I thought it held pretty good. We'll see later that the very end didn't, and it didn't look like I was hitting on the very end anyway, which is obviously why. I put a little curl in the bottom. This curl is made away from the veined side. One thing I didn't do is when I made the loop in a minute, I didn't move the camera, and I used a mandrel in the party hood. So I didn't realize at this point that I wasn't looking at the whole anvil. You sit up and you look, and when you go to work, I knew I'd be working on the horn sound. So there's the mandrels off camera. It's just probably a 2-inch or 2.5 inch, 2-inch pipe I have. I use as a mandrel here. I cooled the small scroll so I could hit it without deforming it when I pulled that loop around the mandrel. This is a sinking tool. It's actually just the bottom of an oxygen cylinder, a large oxygen cylinder. I have several sizes. They really come in handy. Although I like wood better, but for forging this size, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It's a rounding hammer I'm using, so one end is domed quite a bit. Not as much as a ball peen, but it's quite a bit. Take the point down, bring it over, put a little life in that leaf. Heat and wire brush the scale. It would have been better if this were much hotter, but there wasn't a lot of scale on it, so didn't worry too much. Little brass accent transfer there. That's a barbecue grill brush. Brushing that with the forging at, I don't know, 300 or 400 degrees. I haven't measured it. I can, but I haven't. Some of that brass will transfer. It needs to be a pure brass brush. The way you tell if it's pure brass is to turn it over and look at the bristles. Look at them from the end. If you see brass on the end, then it's pure brass. If it's not, you'll see shiny steel. Butcher's wax. Butcher's bowling alley wax, clear. They make two versions of their wax. One's amber and one's clear. I really like this stuff. My projects all that I've been filming have all been a little warm to put the wax on. I normally don't like having that smoke. It doesn't need to be hot enough to smoke, and it's better if it doesn't, because you don't want to breathe that smoke. It'll mess up your sinuses. And I can speak from experience there. This is great stuff. I've got pieces I waxed 3 or 4 years ago, and as long as it's not out in the weather, they still look good. A few pictures. This is about 1 foot long. Interesting project. Hope you enjoyed it.